The heart of a Muslim through the guidance of Islam. It makes you fair and kind and helpful to your fellow man. So living as a Muslim means that you must play a part. Allah looks not at how you look, but what is in your heart.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. We welcome our viewers today to a talk with Dr. Ibrahim Syed from USA. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome, Dr. Syed, to Bombay, India. Ibrahim Syed is a clinical professor of medicine specializing in medical physics and nuclear cardiology. He is the president of the Islamic Research Foundation, an incorporation registered in the USA, which is different from the Islamic Research Foundation, Bombay. He is also involved in research and studies on related subjects to Islam, especially science. He is the managing editor of the quarterly publication Alim, which is also published by the Islamic Research Foundation, USA. He has authored more than 100 articles on Islam, on science, as well as the Quran. He has written 3 books which have been published, namely The Intellectual Achievements of Muslims, Islam and Science, Volume 1, and Islam and Science, Volume 2. Today, he has been kind enough to interact with us on the topic, the rise and fall of Muslim scientists. Dr. Ibrahim Syed, it's a pleasure to have you at the Islamic Research Foundation on behalf of the IRF, myself, as well as our audience. We would be interested in knowing, after looking at our history, especially the Islamic history, what caused Muslims to rise to the zenith of civilization over 4 decades after the passing away of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in 632 AD.
Thank you, Dr. Muhammad Naik. It's my pleasure to be here to share some of my views and my humble knowledge with the viewers. The answer to your first question is that the Al-Islam's emphasis on learning. There are several references to learning, education, observation, and use of reason, and also the Quran. The first word revealed to our Prophet ﷺ on the night of Qadr, or Laylatul Qadr, was the first 5 ayats, namely Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Iqra bismi rabbika allazi khalaq, khalaqal insana min alaq, Iqra bil akram, allazi allama bil qalam, allamal insana ma lam ya'lam. The meaning of this ayat, 5 ayats, are recited from Surah Al-Alaq, Surah number 96, are as follows. Read in the name of the Lord who created man from a clot. Read, and the Lord is the most generous, who taught by the pen, taught man that which he knew not. There are other references in the Quran. For example, in Surah Al-Mulk 67, Surah number 67, Ayah 10, it reads, and they shall say, had we but listened or used reason, we would not among the inmates of the burning fire. Also in Al-Zumar, Surah number 39, verse 9, we read, are those who have knowledge and those who have no knowledge alike? Only the men of understanding are mindful. So these are the Quranic ayat which inspired the Muslims to learn, to observe, to educate, and to use the reason to advance in the civilization.
Does the Quran exhort Muslims to do scientific research?
Yes, it does. If you read some of the reference to that, we read again in Al-Zumar, Surah number 39, Ayah 33, and whoso bringeth the truth and believes therein, such are the dutiful. And for every Muslim man and every Muslim woman, the prayer should be in Surah Taha, Ayah 114, we read, Qul Rabbi zidni ilma, which means, say, my Lord, enrich me with knowledge. So the pursuit of knowledge and the use of reason based on sense of observation is made obligatory on every Muslim man and a Muslim woman.
What are the traditions of the Prophet about learning?
There are several traditions of the Prophet ﷺ, peace be upon him. The most popular is that he said the acquisition of knowledge is compulsory for every Muslim, whether male or female. God has revealed to me, whoever walks in the pursuit of knowledge, I facilitate for him the ways to the heaven. So these are the ahadith of Prophet ﷺ, which emphasize on learning.
Could you mention some of the achievements of Muslims in science, technology, and medicine?
The Muslims excelled in the military science, and they conquered many lands. They went up to the Morocco, from the Atlantic Ocean to the borders of China. And also they crossed into Spain and established the Islamic Empire in Spain. And the Muslims ruled these lands for almost 1,000 years and created the most advanced civilization in the world. And this was possible because Islam stresses on the importance and the respect of learning, and it forbade destruction, and developed in Muslims the respect for authority, discipline, and tolerance for other religions. So the Muslims recognized excellence and hungered intellectually. The teachings of the Quran and Sunnah drove many Muslims to their accomplishments in sciences and medicine. By the 10th century, the zeal and enthusiasm for learning resulted in all essential Greek medical and scientific writings that were translated to Arabic in Damascus, Cairo, and Baghdad. So Arabic became the international language of learning and diplomacy. The center of scientific knowledge and activity shifted eastward to Baghdad in the present-day Iraq. And then Baghdad became the capital of the scientific world. The Muslims became innovators with originality and productivity. The rise of Muslims in the zenith of civilization lasted over 1,000 years. During this millennium, Muslims contributed vastly to the enhancements of arts, science, and the cultural growth of mankind. In Islamic medicine, it is one of the most famous and best-known facets of the Islamic civilization in which the Muslims most excelled. The Muslims were the great torchbearers of international scientific research. Some of the best and most eloquent praises of science ever written came from the pens of the Muslim scholars and scientists who considered their work to be the acts of worship. The same motives led to the establishment of Al-Azhar University in Cairo in 800, in the Common Era, the first university in the world. They hit the source ball of knowledge over the fence to Europe. In the words of Campbell, he says, I quote, the European medical system is Arabian not only in origin but also in its structure. The Arabs are the intellectual forebearers of the Europeans. In fact, the Muslims are directly responsible for the European Renaissance. So without the Europeans learning in the Muslim university in Spain, they would not have achieved a Renaissance in Europe. So at the apex of his glory around the 10th century, in Cordoba, the capital of the Muslim Spain, they had pavements, street lighting, 300 public parks, palaces, 100,000 houses, and 70 libraries. there were close to 500,000 of books in a single library, whereas in the whole of France at that time, it contained much less than this figure. The whole country of France had less than 500,000 books, whereas this one library had more than 500,000 books in the capital of Muslims in Cordoba. So they performed complicated eye surgery 600 years earlier than the Europeans.